If you're upgrading from a different monitor or from the Dell S3220DGF, or you're in the market for a new monitor like the Samsung Odyssey G7, I hope this partial review does help you to see if it's worth your time and money to invest in the Samsung Odyssey G7. Hi friends, welcome to Victor's Reality. This is a partial review on the Samsung Odyssey G7 versus the Dell S3220DGF. These are my opinions, my first impressions, and seeing them side by side, what's the difference, which one is better, which has more contrast, which has more color. As you know, here on the channel, the Dell S3220DGF is an amazing monitor. I always recommend that, even over the Alienware AW2720HF for overall picture punch. It's an amazing monitor, and let's see how it compares to the Samsung Odyssey G7 32-inch monitor. Now this is Phantasy Star Online. It looks beautiful on both monitors, but on the Samsung Odyssey G7, there is that little bit extra punch, a little bit extra contrast, but at just a glance, it looks amazing on both, and the Dell can hold its own. Now this is Forza Motorsport. I can't wait for this game to come out. I'm going to be playing this every single day, but look how beautiful this game is, and it looks beautiful on both monitors. But here, one thing I do want to note, the Dell is looking through all my testing to be about 30 to 50 nits brighter than the Samsung Odyssey G7 on SDR mode. I've been trying in every single instance to higher the contrast, to higher the brightness. The Odyssey does have that little bit extra color, but it looks to me that the Odyssey is a little bit on the warm side. Even though this is not on warm, this is on normal. I'm sure everyone can calibrate their monitors on how they see fit and how they prefer it. I've done everything here in settings. Everything is equal, everything is neutral. One thing to note for current consoles and next generation Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 consoles, the Samsung Odyssey G7 can display an image of 1440p at 120Hz and 1080p at 120Hz, while unfortunately the Dell S3220DGF cannot display a 1440p 120Hz, but it can display a 1080p 120Hz. This is all documented here on the channel and through Dell moderators on the forums. The Dell S3220DGF does not have a 120Hz timing. It can't display those hertz at that specific resolution on consoles or media streamers. And the Dell is a mid to premium monitor. It's in between. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that timing. So that is the only issue, but again, you're not going to be missing out too much because next generation, example Halo Infinite, will look beautiful at 4K 60. It's going to look beautiful still, and you won't be missing out. If you do put it at 1440p 120Hz, and if the Xbox Series X does downscale the image of 4K to 1440p at 120Hz, it's technically a 4K 120Hz signal. That would be like medium graphics compared to a 4K 60, which would be on ultra graphics. The monitor can't quite hit the resolutions and hertz just like the Samsung Odyssey. To each their own with their own preferences. It would have been perfect, of course, if the Dell could produce that. You have to understand, you're paying about half the price of the Odyssey for the Dell. So the monitor does cut corners here and there, but it's nothing too drastic. Now let's look at contrast levels here. They both have really good dark levels, and right now they are at full brightness with the maximum amount of contrast I can produce in a video. And as you can see, the Odyssey looks to be a bit better than the Dell, but there's a reason, because it's lower in brightness. In SDR mode, I can see it, the Odyssey G7 is 30 to 50 nits lower in brightness than the power punch of Dell's S3220DGF. That's an amazing feat because the Dell, again, is half the price of the Odyssey G7. Now here we go, look at more contrast levels with the color. Remember, the Odyssey is a 95% of the DCI-P3 versus the Dell's 90% of the DCI-P3 color coverage. And as you can see, they are neck and neck. They look beautiful. The Odyssey does look, again, a tad better, but because it's lower in brightness, I'm happy that Dell can produce that picture punch. The Dell's contrast is amazing for the price that you're paying. Everybody, the Dell is a winner, and it's showing you here it can go toe-to-toe with the big guys. Now look at the colors here. The colors, again, look at the reds, look at the yellows, everything, the contrast, everything looks beautiful. If you would say nitpicking, again, the Odyssey, but because the Odyssey is a tad lower in brightness, I would say the Samsung Odyssey does win in the contrast department, but again, it's because that extra bit of color, and it is lower in brightness. So the Dell does pack a punch. It can handle the brightness and it can go toe-to-toe in the color department against the Odyssey G7. And I would say, before we get into some gameplay, if you have a Dell S3220DGF, you're going to ask me, should I upgrade? I would say no. You're not missing out on much. Little bit color, little bit contrast. You are going to miss out on that 1440p 120 Hz, but to many that's not a big issue, because as long as it can do a 1440p downscaled image of a 4K signal at 60 Hz, that's what you need, and that's going to look amazing for the next generation. Now here we have some Warzone going. I just got thrown in the map and look at so much fun. But this game looks amazing on both. Again, it's just nitpicking here which one you think looks better, which one you like the colors, the contrast. To be honest with you, I was looking at both. I couldn't really tell the difference, not with all this moving and action going on. You do need to have a powerful graphics card to process and power through with 240 Hz on the Samsung. And again, one thing I will note, and I will say it, and I stand by it, the G7 is faster than the Dell, but again, it's over twice the price. I really don't think it's worth twice the price just for that little bit more in speed. It is the fastest VA panel out there, but again, you pay for the features that you want, and if you specifically want the fastest VA panel, the Samsung Odyssey G7 is the one. Now let's look at some pictures here. Look at the pinks. You could see the Odyssey does have a little bit more, but the Dell is keeping up. It's not staying behind. Look at it here also. It's a tad more color on the G7. Again, the contrast looks more on the Odyssey because of its lower brightness. Now these are at full brightness again, so it goes to show that you can achieve these colors. I will make another video in the future showing you how to get Samsung Odyssey G7 contrast and colors on the Dell S3220DGF. You can do it. In the NVIDIA control panel, I would say plus 45 on the brightness, plus 55 on the contrast, and plus 55 or 57 in the digital vibrancy. And I guarantee you, you're 90-95% the way there to achieve Samsung Odyssey G7 levels in contrast and in color. The only thing you won't be able to reproduce is that amazingly fast VA panel, well, with no smear. I have seen nothing on the smear, but again, it's twice the price. So if that's what you want, go with the Odyssey. You're gonna get the fastest VA panel with the amazing contrast, the amazing speed. That's what you want. But if your budget, or if you just want an awesome VA panel, VA monitor with awesome colors, awesome contrast, and you can actually get close to the G7 level in terms of picture punch, the Dell S3220DGF is an amazing buy. The only thing is, it's not as fast as the Odyssey G7. That's guaranteed. And I will be able to show that in a future video, so you can see the differences in fast speed gaming. Now look at, and finally here we have a side-by-side of Halo Infinite, announced recently for the Xbox Series X. First time they're showing gameplay. As you can see, it looks beautiful. I'm showing here a side-by-side image. The Odyssey G7 looks to be a bit more contrasty because of the curve. Okay, the curve is more pronounced. You can easily see here the 1000R looks especially amazing if you're sitting right in front of it, but at an angle, as you can see, the top and the bottom right here in this map overview, it does show some flashlighting or bleeding, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't affect, you really can't see it that much when you're in person watching it. The camera does pick up more than we can see, that's to be honest with you, but it is there, as you can see, while the Dell does not have anything. But again, the Dell's curve is less pronounced. It's less of a curve. It's not going to affect you as much, but you can see it's a little bit more washed out on the Dell versus the Odyssey G7. And again, nothing beats an IPS panel like the Alienware A00 because that looks beautiful at all angles. So let me answer some questions that I know you guys are going to ask, or you guys are thinking of. Should I buy the Dell or should I buy the Odyssey? Depends on what you want. You can't just say buy this or buy that. You know, everyone has a specific reason why. You know, I buy my monitors for a specific reason. I got the Odyssey because I wanted 240 Hz gaming. I want that VA contrast. And it's just a bonus now that I know that the VA panel in the Odyssey G7 is the fastest VA panel on the market currently right now. No other VA panel can match the speed of the Odyssey G7. But again, you want that feature, you're gonna pay a pretty penny. So that's why I got the monitor, for a VA panel for 240 Hz, for that contrast And of course, it's going to be awesome to play next generation knowing that it has that 120 hertz timing. Unfortunately, that the Dell doesn't. But again, you see the monitors right here in front of you. I use these on a daily basis. I use the Odyssey right now more for gaming. I use my DGF for media and for web browsing just because to me it's easier on the eyes. And if there is something I view that I need more brightness on SDR mode, I would select the Dell DGF. The S3220DGF would be easier for work. And again, it's half the price. These are expensive monitors anyway, but the Dell is half the price of the Odyssey G7. Just think of that. You can get 2 Dells for the price of 1 Odyssey G7. You know, everyone is different. You might need 2 monitors. You might need 3 monitors. You know, you can put them all 32 inches all around you. Wow, that would be amazing. So another question would be, I want a dual purpose monitor. I don't care about the money. I just want an awesome dual purpose monitor. I don't want to buy 2, 3 monitors. I just want 1 monitor. So what do I get? Well, the Odyssey G7 would fit that bill. It does do both exceptionally well. I would say go with the Odyssey G7. It does both exceptionally well. Have you seen my Xbox One X video? The games look amazing on that, and PC gaming looks amazing also. I haven't made a video yet, but I have played some Forza HDR. That does look amazing. I have played some Doom Eternal in SDR versus HDR, and again, I always say SDR looks like someone drew the picture with a crayon, but it's powerful, it's punchy. While in HDR, it looks like someone colored it with colored pencils, and it looks really defined, refined, defined. It looks beautiful. I will make future videos on SDR versus HDR on the Odyssey G7 and many more on the S3220DGF. And of course, versus videos, because everybody wants to see not just opinion, but they want to see for themselves which one is better. If you're upgrading from a different monitor or from the Dell S3220DGF, or you're in the market for a new monitor like the Samsung Odyssey G7, I hope this partial review does help you to see if it's worth your time and money to invest in the Samsung Odyssey G7. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on those notifications so you never miss out on a future video. I'll see you guys next time.